This episode is brought to you by human meat farming, the protein of the future. Plus bugs. Yummy, yummy.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host, who is across the pond. It's our resident third clone of the pod. It's DL, everybody. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I don't know if I'm a resident at this point. It's been about a month since we've...
Well, neither of us are. It's like our bar that we...
I'm a transitory vagrant at this point of the pod.
Oh, don't say that. Transitory
vagrant.
vagrant. Is that what you'd like to be?
I think when I'm at my best, I'm channeling transitory vagrancy vibes, you know? That's when I really know I'm nailing it.
Dude, if that's what you want to be known as, you be happy.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah.
You be happy, my man. What's been happening? You've been away. You've been so many places. Let's list them.
Honestly, it's been a blackout.
Your brain just stopped working the whole time?
Yeah, I can't remember. No, it's been like literally 2 months where I think... on average of the 2 months, I probably spent 6 weeks in London. And
in London?
Sorry, what am I saying? Of the 2 months, I probably spent 2 weeks in London and 6 weeks
everywhere else.
So,
you know what you could really do with? You could do with a clone of yourself who you can send out to do all your work for you.
Honestly, yeah, at this point, I really
wouldn't that be
like
the
dream? But then I'd have to kill one. And I feel like the clone of myself is going to be more ruthless than myself. So,
what makes you think that?
I mean, Severance, Mickey 17. There seems to be a trend here. Like the clones rebel, dude.
You thinking there's clones in Severance? My God, we get into Severance spoilers already.
Well,
We've not even started talking.
Whatever
yet.
You want to call it, the versions of oneself that are subjugated to
the innies.
Work.
I don't think the innies are more mean. In fact, I think they're nicer.
They're nicer, but they're rebellious.
They are.
They don't want to be there.
Especially that Helly character. Look, guys, if you haven't guessed already...
I haven't seen the last 2 episodes.
I haven't said anything about it. If you guys haven't realized yet, we're going to be talking about Mickey 17 today. And the reason we're doing that is because I think it was on my most excited for anticipated list of the year. Is that right?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good call. It was. And it's because it's got like some crazy director, doesn't it?
Yeah, Bong Joon Ho. We're going to talk about that. I don't know. I don't think my post-enthusiasm matches my pre-enthusiasm.
Okay.
I'm making a face like Robert De Niro.
It did drag a bit.
Dragged.
We'll
dragged a lot. We'll talk about it. What's been happening, man? I know you've been away a lot, but where have you actually been?
Yeah, so this fine month and a half, I've been in Chicago, I've been in Nashville, I've been in Miami, I've been in and out of Austin for a number of weddings, bachelor parties, work events, etc. So that's the deal.
You can tell by the graveliness of your voice.
That's my standard. You can tell by the bags under my eyes. I'm always gravelly.
If it helps, I'm super sick. I've literally got 1,000 tablets in me right now trying to keep me from talking. Trying to time myself sounding like Dot Cotton from EastEnders.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, man. I've managed to avoid it a bit, but I feel like I've been on the verge of sickness for 2 months, so maybe I'll finally cave.
Man, if you haven't got sick yet, maybe you're just immune. Maybe you're like Mr. Burns.
I do have a strong immune system. I'll give myself that. I don't get sick often.
I don't get sick often either, but when I do, I like to whine and complain about it. So you're gonna know about it.
That's just being a male.
It's just being a dude. What are you talking about? That's normal.
Yeah.
But yeah. Man, that kind of sucks, but it's kind of cool. Nice to see a bit of the world. You saw see a bit of family or anything?
Yeah, I'm not complaining. It is what it just sucks that it happened so fast. By the end of that, you just want to be home. Oh, I was also in Belgium this weekend, so I forgot about that one. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's better than not seeing the world if I had to choose, but ideally you spread it out over a couple months, not 6 weeks.
Do it across the full year. You did your entire travel in
I did all of it in literally 2 months. No, man, I can't complain. I mean, through that time, I did watch some stuff, but let me hear what I've missed about your life before we get into that.
Fuck, I don't even have anything to talk about. We went to see a gig the other day. That was pretty fun. So I'm a big Brit-pop boy. I like good indie bands from the UK, as you very well know. And there's a band that I absolutely love. Yeah, have you got any of these bands that you like went to college or university with and you were like, you know they're probably not that good, but you love them anyway because you went to university
with them. Like they were
as in like they came out in your university time and you sort of like
Steve Aoki. No, he wasn't. He did go to my university and he did play at our university many a time. But
really,
no, he's not that for me, to be honest. There's just bands more that like from my high school era that like I listen to still. That,
same.
I know probably aren't that good, but like just nostalgia.
Same vibe. There's a band called the Contenders who I don't know, man. They will sell out like an arena in Manchester, but if you take them outside of like the north, I'm not sure that many people love or like. But they came out here for their first ever gig in Australia, and they were phenomenal. I had the best time. I was literally like, "This is."
I probably just knew there was enough Manchester boys here that they.
There are,
or there
in Sydney, man. There's enough Brits in Sydney, but it was pretty phenomenal actually, and it seems like forever ago now. But it was a bloody good gig, and I had a lot of fun. My partner got me tennis lessons literally 2.5, nearly 3 years ago for Christmas. And we were supposed to play them this weekend, but it absolutely pissed it down with rain. So we did not play tennis this weekend. Full first world problems, right?
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for asking for once. I appreciate that. It's nice when you ask me how I am.
Well, it's been like literally months, so I had to get an update.
we do
dumb little updates. Oh, we went to the beach. I don't fucking care, Tommy. Give me the download of the last month.
Give me the real shit. That's it. That's all I've done. I didn't play tennis, and I went to a gig.
So you almost played tennis in 8 weeks. You fucking suck, dude.
I'm sure there's other things. You tell me where you've been. You could have been anywhere. You could have been to the Bahamas. You could have been anywhere. Could have been anywhere. Guys, if you like the cut of our jib, feel free to leave us a 5-star review down below. You can do it in app wherever you are. We'd really appreciate it if you would. It would help us a lot. And while you're there, if you want to jump around, if you don't want to listen to our shit, you want to get straight to the main topic, you want to hear that good content, Mr. Matthew Bliss of mbpod.com will have put time codes in the description, as always, because he's a legend. We appreciate you all for giving us 5 stars review. We don't know how algorithms work. But DL, let's talk a bit about that content. What have you been watching, man? What have you been doing?
I'm trying to remember because it was like a blur. Like I was so high on the Severance vibes. Like, we still haven't talked about like the Gemma episode. And
I think we should do an episode. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we can save it. Yeah, like why don't we say it's hard to do Severance in one episode, to be honest.
It's fine.
Well, just because it's a show with such attention to detail that like you want.
That I lack is what you're saying.
No, it's more like it feels like an episode by episode type show. If you're going to do a podcast on it, it's hard to just do 10 and give it the like quality assessment that it deserves. But we will try because what do we care? We're not here for quality.
What do we care about quality? That's not what we're here for.
No, but I just thought that the last Gemma episode was phenomenal. We're not going to be able to get into it all right now, but
which one? Sorry, not are you referring to?
The first Gemma episode we see, I think it's episode 8, where it just kind of like you get the Gemma storyline of like where she is and all that.
I see.
It was just like so phenomenally done,
so deep,
and basic, so emotionally deep. It also makes you like reevaluate all sorts of scenes you've seen in the past, which is what the best twists do. Like where they like add value to the emotional payoff of the story. They progress the plot and they also make you rethink the things you already thought. Like that is a twist. Like that's when you know you've nailed it and it feels earned.
Yeah.
And it feels like it didn't feel like they pulled something over my head. Like it felt like there was enough hints or, if it's in line with what they were hinting at, but just more beyond what I could have thought. Like it was just really well done.
So I have seen the full series and I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but I don't think it's like this has got more seasons coming, right? You know that. You know it's been renewed. You know there's going to be further
surely
seasons.
They weren't going to stop at 2, yeah.
No, well, but there's the thing that I find really interesting about this show is that people are like screaming because season 2 didn't tie everything up in a nice bow.
I'm sure it's a cliffhanger again because they love that, dude. The little
I'm like,
you... They do. They left us on hang.
Can you just use Dre's bleep to bleep him every time he says something out of hand? Bleep. That was such a tired bleep. Bleep. I know. But like, why are people like? What do you want? Like, you don't want everything tied up in a nice bow if it's coming back for more seasons. You want like some intrigue. You want to be still learning things further down the line.
But there's clearly going to be things though that they don't like explain. Like, I doubt we'll ever understand fully the goats. Like, there's just like random things that they're just going to like.
Wait, how do you know the goats aren't explaining the last 2 episodes?
I don't, but I'm just saying I doubt that it will.
Have you heard the wild theory that Rickon is a goat's
Goat
brain
God?
in a man's body? That's my favorite. That's my absolute favorite.
Honestly, I that's funny and ridiculous, but I
can
thought
see
that
it.
I thought that I could see it too, but I thought that the Rickon thing, the most interesting thing about Rickon was like what the Gemma episode added, where you saw like a dynamic that like Rickon was like less annoying, still really absurd, but more so that like that Mark could deal with him when he had his partner, and like the loss of Gemma, like what it clearly did to every single person in the dynamic. I just thought
that's
they
interesting.
just killed that emotional, like that scene where they're all talking and like it's in the past. It was just phenomenal. So to your point about Rickon, like I would have prior to seeing this episode, I would have agreed that like, yeah, just goat brain, man's body, clearly no brain.
Clearly goat brain.
Now
what are you
I'm
talking
just
about?
like because I saw what he was like. I'm like maybe not. Maybe he's just shattered by this the same way everyone is, and it's shattered him to his core. So no, I've been watching Severance.
Interesting. Severance has been on my docket too. I've been catching up with that. We did watch a movie though the other night. Actually, we watched a thing that was recommended by a couple of friends of the show. Actually, we watched, and actually, I think you wanted to do it on the podcast last year, but we kind of skipped over it. It was called The Wild Robot. Did you ever get around to watching that?
It's downloaded. It's a date night movie because I think Gail will like it. We just haven't watched it yet.
I think she will too. It's phenomenal. It's got that spark that sort of Pixar used to have. It's got that emotional heartbeat.
To have.
I don't think all the sequels and crap stuff they're making recently have quite had that little bit of heart that it used to have. You know, like Toy Story 1 was just so... It captured everything I ever wanted in a movie about toys. Don't know what else to say there. That I didn't know I wanted. Whereas this, it kind of brings back a little bit of that wonder in many ways. You know? It's got like so many feelings and vibes.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's very good. It would have been a weird one to try and talk about on the podcast, though, because normally we like to make fun of things a little bit, and I have no idea how I would have made fun of this movie.
I'll find a way. Now I'll watch
you can bring it
with
back.
With that in mind, and maybe we will. If I can't, then we won't.
I'm excited to see what you go back with. But I highly recommend, actually. You should definitely check that out, especially with, I think I think Gail will like it as well.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of heart to it.
That's her. Well, I'd rather that than the Snow White, apparently.
Oh, so. Absolutely not. I've been reading reviews of that today.
Well, it's just such a funny dynamic, that movie. There's so much, like, Disney just cannot, like, my worst investment pick of all time, Disney. I was like, they're releasing Disney Plus. This is a no-brainer. And literally after that, any mistake they could have made, they made. Like, yeah. Any mistake they could have. It's been such an... I sold out a while ago for a loss. But,
did you?
Yeah, I was just like, I can't ride this sinking ship
Keep
anymore.
going down.
No, what else did I do, man?
Stocks is not one of your recommendations for this week, then.
No, what do you mean?
Your recommendations for stocks. You're not sharing them this week.
Well, I can give, if that's what you want this podcast to be.
Sure,
I can give my
why
takes.
not?
I am not an educated. I've been investing in Europe because I'm like, it's so undervalued. Well, not really anymore. It's actually gone up a bunch compared to the US. But
has it?
Anyway, that's a side note.
What else you been doing?
I watched Reservoir Dogs on the plane. I'd never seen it.
What a good movie!
I was on a bit of a Tarantino kick.
Is it a plane movie?
It was more of a train movie for me, to be fair. I said plane, but I meant train.
Okay. Is it a train movie?
I mean, not if you're sitting next to a child, but
were you?
I enjoyed it. No, so I watched it.
Oh, good. Well, that's fine.
But like, if you were, you might feel a bit guilty with all the blood.
Gotta learn sometime.
And then you juxtapose that with like Hateful Eight, which is another movie I watched over this break, the extended edition of like the Tarantino movie that most people hate, that I seem to still enjoy, even though I know it's bad. You know, I know it's bad. I know there's parts where I'm like, this is so over the top, and the acting sometimes doesn't hit the same way other ones do. But I just love a Tarantino dialogue scene in a cramped space, and this entire movie is in a cabin, so it really plays to my palate.
Isn't there like a piece of trivia about the Hateful Eight that the guitar one of them destroys is like a vintage owned by some guitar maestro guitar that like they absolutely should not have destroyed, but it was like done in the moment? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not like I just like the movie. I don't know the trivia, but
I can see that. I mean,
I don't know, man. I never got into that film. I got stuck with it. I know you somehow stuck with it, but I just couldn't.
a lot of people don't like it. I think enough people think it's one of his worst movies for it to be like okay to say.
Oh, I didn't give a shit what the people think. I'm pretty happy with my.
Objectively, it's like not his best.
Sure,
but as I said, it plays the way I like. So I watched the extended edition, which I don't even know what parts were extended, to be honest, because like it was such a long
was
movie.
that? Because it's a long movie anyway.
Yeah.
Every time we swear on this episode, by the way, I expect Matt to add in the
bleep
from
bleep
from the
bleep.
podcast.
What else, dude?
Do you recommend Reservoir Dogs, a film that everyone's probably seen at this point?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Reservoir. If you haven't seen it, don't wait.
Well, but you
your
hadn't
entire
seen
life
it
to watch it like me. Yeah, it's been on my list, but
yeah, I was watching a thing about Guy Ritchie earlier, and I think there's some interesting parallels between Guy Ritchie's early films, where he was, low budget, scraping by to create a movie, and not his later movies, which are more high budget, not being as good as I think there are with some of the Tarantino flicks. But I can't necessarily say that because I love most of Tarantino's movies. I just don't think they quite have the same zing as they had before. Like, they're still great. Whereas, I don't know about Guy Ritchie. I think Guy Ritchie's movies recently suck.
I think Django and what's it called? They're two of my faves. And they're not on like the back half of his catalog, if you think about it.
That's true. Inglourious is also awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Inglourious and Django. And then, I mean, since those, it's been a drop off for sure.
Okay, I said some nonsense. I redact everything I just said. I thought while I was saying it, I'm going to take this back immediately.
His most recent one, I take your point, but I still think, I think that if the next one buggers, then you're like, yeah, his last 2 or 3 were not they're still enjoyable, just not as bad.
Do you think he's going to stick to that 9 movie thing? Do you think he's going to be like, yeah, 9 movies and done? Or do you reckon he's going to find a way?
You can tell he wants to do one more because he
wants to do more movies.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just keep making movies. Who cares?
I think just do it because, like, if 1 in the 4 is good, although if like Scorsese's any indicator, like maybe not.
It's true.
Maybe they'll all suck.
It's very true.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think more Quentin Tarantino energy in this world overall is good. So
big time, 100%. I will tell you another thing. I don't say we. The partner hasn't watched this with me at all, but I was very, very excited for the return of Daredevil Born Again. I don't know if you ever got around to the Netflix Daredevil shows. Did you ever watch them?
Like 1 season or something. Yeah.
Oh, the first season's the best season, so you're good. You're sweet. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I got big into this. I was so excited. I was so hyped for the first 2 episodes coming out. I think there's 5 out right now. I've watched maybe 4 of them. It's very good. It's doing things that Marvel hasn't done for a while. For the most part of it, he's not been in the Daredevil outfit, so it's just doing good character work with a dude who's trying his hardest in New York. Actually, he's trying not to be a vigilante, which is interesting. The whole crew's back. I very much enjoyed seeing them all. Vinny D'Onofrio's back, and I got invited on the Till the End of the Line podcast thing to do a nice episode on it, which was fun.
Nice.
And we talked about the 3rd episode, and Juan was really unwell, so I was there trying to bring the energy for 2 people.
Love that for you.
Good for me. Well, you know
cheerleading.
I'll talk about anything. It was great. But yeah, there's some beautiful moments in it.
Did they is it like a reboot situation?
Yeah, kind of.
They just scrapped the old storyline.
Well, it's interesting. I don't want to ruin it for you in case you do watch it. Do you care?
I mean, I guess like if my question means you have to spoil something, then no, I don't want to know. But if my question can be answered with a simple yes or no.
The first half an hour of the first episode, it spoils.
Okay, then let's just wait. I'll watch it.
Okay. Yes and no. How does that work for you?
Confusing, but
it's good. I tell you what, it's the best Marvel thing I've seen in a long time.
Sounds like it's a multiverse thing.
I don't think so. I think they've just folded it into the MCU, and he's just going to be daredeviling about like he does as a daredevil. Because he's
nice.
He's a devil and he's very dairy. That's what he does. And he's blind. Don't forget he's blind.
He is blind.
He is blind. I saw a funny meme the other day. It was they tried to make a Daredevil first-person video game, and it was just a blank screen. And I was like, I stared at that way too long trying to work out what was happening. I was like, oh my god. I recommend Daredevil Born Again. Go away, check it out. Good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, if you want to hit us up, please do. You find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. It's been a while since we've done this. I can't even remember what I'm supposed to say. Send us memes, send us news, send us reviews. Things we like to see. DL,
Yeah.
do you want to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
Yeah, this week we're doing Mickey 17, dropped in 2025, with Robert Pattinson. I actually was watching. I got halfway through the new Batman because I'm trying to prep for. I want to watch the Penguin. I don't know where to watch it, but anyway, Pattin's in it.
Binge? You can probably maybe get Binge from our side.
I don't think we have Binge blocked.
I got Binge.
I think I have to buy Sky, which is annoying.
Can you use a VPN?
No, it doesn't work for HBO.
Bong Joon Ho. Love what you did there. That was literally perfect.
Bong Joon Ho. No, Bong Joon Ho.
It was his first film since Parasite, right?
Yeah, and like he's only ever done international stuff, right? This is the first time he's like done something with like, if I remember correctly,
so, with an American
No,
cast.
to be fair, Oakjaw was him. I didn't know that. Snowpiercer?
Was it?
Interesting, but I guess these are all like adapted content from.
Yes, this is true. As is this. This was obviously a book based. This was a graphic novel based on Mickey 7. He apparently added more Mickeys so he could have more gruesome deaths. But do you have a stupid plot summary for this, DL?
Yeah, I do. It's not my best. It's just what I came up with, which that's where I was at this point in the day.
That's absolutely
Robert Pattinson does some kind of weird New York borough accent on a Mormon mass colony resettlement in space. Like that's
pretty spot on. That's very much spot on. Mine is just Space Donald Trump choose scenery while a young Steve Buscemi parody has threesomes with himself. It's about as far as I got.
Yeah,
it's good.
Gross. Yeah.
But yeah, there's Robert Pattinson in this, as you mentioned. Stephen Yeun is in this, who you'll know from The Walking Dead. Mark Ruffalo, he is the Hulk. Toni Collette's in this. And Naomi Aki as Nasha, who is the kind of love interest of Mickey. Do you want to talk about this movie? Do you want to do non-spoilers and spoilers? It's been out for a little while.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't really remember what we can spoil because, like, I guess if you have seen the trailer, you don't know why. Okay.
If you've seen a trailer, you've seen this whole friggin' movie, and it's got everything up till like the last seconds of the movie in it. I'm like, what is happening? I guess the main sort of spoilery parts, I'd say, are probably around the reasonings why Mickey's in space, why things are happening like they are, perhaps.
Yeah, if you haven't read the book or whatever. There.
Yeah, of course. But I'm going to call out before we start talking about this. I went into this with really high expectations, and I came away super disappointed. I don't know what it was. It could have been because we watched Moon literally a week before, which I absolutely loved. This lacked a lot of the subtlety. It lacked a lot of the finer elements of that movie that made it so good. And we were we praised Moon massively. But yeah, and we twigged it, pulled at a few little threads, but comparatively, that is a much better movie.
Well, it's a different movie.
Of course.
I think if you were coming into this
concept.
thinking it was going to be like, like a moody Tony mystery, then
absolutely not.
It'd be it's like clearly a dark humor. Yeah.
I just assumed it was going to be picking at similar threads of like identity and corporate exploitation, which it does, but putting like a dark humorous slant on it. I just don't think it did anything for me, and it kind of felt... I wrote this down afterwards. I think I was watching a comedian. It reminded me of every time I go for a pay rise conversation at work. I get all excited and ultimately disappointed by the same old shit.
Yeah, I'm not as harsh on it as you are.
Sure.
But I think it dragged.
Fuck yeah, it dragged.
And at the end of the day, I don't really know what... I guess like not every movie has to like be saying something, but I don't really know what it was saying.
Yeah, I feel like this was meant to. Let's preface this movie. I feel like we haven't done a great job prefacing this movie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we follow Mickey 17 who basically took a pretty shit gig in a bad place, being like followed by the mob who he owed money to avoid being like chainsawed to death. Him and his buddy agree to go. See,
that was the bit I would have said was the spoiler, but I guess we're there now.
Oh, well, I guess like how do you preface this movie without spoiling it? Because like it is all told in the first like 35 minutes.
He doesn't. I guess the bit for me that the trailers completely skip over is the whole bit about the mob. Like that's the bit they don't talk about. But you're absolutely right.
You do get it pretty quickly. Like I don't know. Let's just. I've done it, so we're doing it. Spoilers for me.
We're here now. Full spoilers, guys.
Insert that ahead of the conversation. Sorry,
skip that in there, Matt.
We follow Mickey 17 who took a pretty shit gig in a bad place. I could have just said that. where he's on a colony ship to avoid the mob. And not only that, the only way for him to get on for whatever reason, because there's a big wait list, because like apparently like the guy that's on this colony ship is like some religious like slash cultural slash political zeitgeist. Like you could call it Trump, you could call it whatever you want, but like a political kind of
he's got the
deal
teeth
spinner. Yeah. And so there's like they're overbooked, and he's like, oh crap. And the only way he could get on is to become, what do they call it?
An expendable. I was just
like
Googling
an expendable.
In the background. Which is the worst job in fucking history.
Yeah. His mate just like sweet talks somebody and gets a pilot job. He has to become an expendable, which basically means like there's this new tech that they like only can use on this voyage because it's like international space law.
Yeah, that's
where,
right.
Like, you just like copy your memory and your body consistently,
yourself,
and you take on like these really shit jobs that are going to kill people, which seems
literally
like, at this point could be robots if we're at this far in the technology world, but maybe not.
I don't know. How would a robot simulate breathing the atmosphere of a new
certain
planet?
things? Yes, fair. Certain other ones, like getting hit by like asteroids outside on the
absolutely.
No.
I mean, that was one of the things, but I think they were doing that, and like this is one of the things I'm going to mention about this, and one of the things I actually found, like one of the things that actually worked for me in this movie was like the depravity of the scientists. So he signs up for this job, and then all of a sudden, the scientists who are sort of like getting him to do all this stuff become like the absolute base model of a human. And just like finding creative ways to kill him and like feeding him weird food so that he'll like blow up everywhere. But like, it's deliciously devious in that way. But also, it's a weirdly horny movie simultaneously. I don't know how they put the two together.
Horny? Well, just because they're always like him and the chick.
They're always bleeping.
Yeah, I guess.
Always be bleeping.
What else are you going to do in space, dude?
That is also a very good point. But one of the through-line plot points of this movie is that they have this book of sex. Is it like the Kama Sutra, or is it like just a thing they made up and they're just trying all these different sex positions and shit?
Yeah,
it's so random.
Yeah, I forget. It is, but it is central to at least one part of the. I forget what it is, to be honest.
Ending.
It was like, yeah, it's like how he communicates to her at one point.
Right. Right. It's like bring me the baby or something. It's the most grimmest shit of all time.
Which is like a position that they were talking about.
Not literally. I mean, literally bring him a baby, but not literally.
It might be.
Who knows?
But yeah, we follow him on this track, and he's various deaths, and
well, they spin through the deaths pretty quick at the beginning.
Yeah,
don't they?
you get a bunch of them, and then you like start. Well, the movie starts with like a not a cold open, but like basically, there's a word for it when it starts later on, and then it goes back. So we get him. We join Mickey at a death whereby, spoilers, he doesn't actually die. And we don't know this till later, but he actually, he falls into this ice cave and is saved by these aliens. We think they killed him, but then later we find out he actually didn't die, but everyone thought he died in this moment. And he, hours or days later survives. He gets back to the ship on a remote island that they're trying to colonize, or remote planet. They finally kind of have gotten there and they're colonizing this planet. And during the time that he was thought to be dead, another Mickey has been copied, which is basically disgrazier. You can't do that. Like that's bad. That's like a code red. They have to kill both Mickeys when this happens. And so they discover each other, and the plot kicks off of, well, how do we survive in this situation? Because neither of them want to die. Now they're two distinct entities. Only one can have the memories merged. And in that situation, the protocol is to kill both. And so that's kind of the central conflict of the initial part of the plot, I would say.
Yeah. They just cannot wait. They just can't wait to see if he's still alive. But that's kind of the B plot, weirdly, because isn't the A plot all those weird alien things? It's the whole,
but it becomes
humans...
the A plot,
right? Okay,
like
sure.
I would say like the first hour they didn't matter at all. Hour and a half,
that's true.
Almost. And then like randomly they start to matter.
I do think there's something off about the pacing of this film and the way it's put together like that. But I don't think that's my big problem with this. I think my big problem with this is the narration that comes all the way through the film. Not only is Robert Pattinson's accent one of the worst things.
Weird voice.
What the fuck was the voice about?
What? I don't know, man. Like, I just think that like I'm kind of trying to do my best in Mickey World.
That's
I don't know if it's like New York or Atlantic or something. I don't know what it is.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere that I'm not really getting.
Yeah.
I hated it, but the thing that was the worst about it was the movie felt like it was just trying to feed you everything that was happening. I was like, don't tell me, show me. Like I can.
Well, they did both.
I can get subtext.
Usually they did both. Usually they narrated what was happening on screen,
which was
like
so wild.
And it's like okay to do for like humor, like comedic effect a few times, but like it was done quite a bit. I get your point.
Classic example of Hollywood telling, not showing. I just want to show me, man. I want like we're all intelligent beings.
But they would literally show you though. They would show you the deaths, and then they'd be talking through the deaths. I'm like, I get it.
No, it was more like when it's like the death, and he's like, oh, and I felt really bad about this when this happened. It's like, I get it. You don't have to tell me you feel bad about it. I can see that, and I can get by context. Yeah, I guess you were talking about Severance before, which is interesting because this had quite a mainstream opportunity to explore like identity and morality specifically, which I didn't get as much from this as I kind of wanted. And I think it was a lot of the themes that should have been good in this were touched upon, but they weren't really explored in any way that was interesting or new.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
I hear you there.
Whereas you're watching things like Severance, you talked about before, and we talked about Moon before, that do it really well. Like they're all these sort of like nuances of life and corporate simplicity, things that you really don't want to be speaking about.
I think it's kind of just the tone of it doesn't really allow for that. It's really like out there.
Yeah.
It's like an out there movie. It's like kind of like, bombastic and dark and like unapologetically so. And like, it's just not really a kind of movie that's going to explore that. It's like, it's more on the nose.
Yeah. It is bombastic and it is dark, but it tries to mix that with like humor. And there's something that's off about that. It doesn't, for me personally, I don't know about yourself, but it didn't.
I found the movie pretty enjoyable. I just thought it was too long. I don't think it like did anything new, but like stylistically, the trappings were different. Like it had pretty good actors. I didn't care about the central problem when it got outside of Mickey. I was hoping to do more of like a Mickey storyline, and we got some of that.
Kind of like
I didn't really understand why the Mickeys were so different.
I liked that though. It was a weird twist.
Like that was one thing that like didn't make any sense that like should have probably been explained.
I think the thing, I'm going to keep talking about Moon. I'm sorry. The thing I really liked about Moon was when they printed a new one, he sort of reverted back a little bit and he was sort of more of his base self, how he was when he arrived on the station. Over time, he builds patience and he becomes a better man, quotation marks. Whereas in this, they're just different. They're just like...
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. And they never really talk about why. And I guess it's like...
He's hornier.
It's like not that kind of movie, I guess. Like maybe that's just not what they're trying to explore.
Well, it's ironic because they literally tell you everything else that's happening in this movie. They just don't tell you why.
Like I would have thought that that's like a key thing you're going to explore in a movie where like you have a clone that like is dealing with himself, is like dealing with the different sides of his personality and why they're there, and like kind of seeing yourself from yourself's view. You identify the flaws that other people might see in you that you can't see in yourself until you like literally have it like face to face. Like that's the kind of, and like they just kind of said, this Mickey's wild. Like, whoa, this is crazy, Mickey. And you're not really like sure why. And they tried to do it like as in like Mickey 17 was like kind of, or whatever it is, 16, whatever the original one is like more timid, and this one's more aggressive, but like I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, completely. What did you think of the surrounding cast? Because they obviously factor into a lot of this as well.
I mean, like, I don't know what, like, I guess like maybe another reason why this is like mediocre, not great, or above average, not great, is like I don't really know what they're trying to do with like the main guy, colonizer guy. What's his name? Who played it? Good actor.
Mark
Ruffalo, and his wife is also in
Toni Collette's good in this. So Kenneth Marshall is the I call him a Trump-esque character. He's got a lot of that in him, but he's got a lot of other stuff in him as well. Like he could be a cult leader. It's just like so over the top though that it's not even like a good Trump analogy. Like I don't know what they're trying to do. Yeah, I think so effectively he's a failed politician. So he attempted to get some sort of senatorial post on Earth. He failed, and he's got this like cult-like devoted following who will follow him anywhere. And his last attempt to, have his shot at being in control is to take this ship out to Niflheim, which is basically a frozen wasteland at this point.
That's our setting for most of the movie.
Which is the setting for the movie. And you know what? the thing I really liked about the movie was the setting on the ship, as random as that sounds. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze 1 second.
Bleep.
Just beep. Just do Dre's beep noise whenever I sneeze. Like the setting on the ship, it was like it had this like oppressive aesthetic to it that was quite and I mean, there's nothing new for like space or even space horror. You know what I mean? Like that entire genre is filled with the likes of Alien and that whole sense of I mean, oppressiveness is the best word for it. That whole sense of overwhelming oppression. But when it got to the new planet, when it got to the Niflheim, it was a bit like, what is this saying? Like, I get what they were saying with the creepers. The whole creepers thing was, I mean, pretty obvious. It was like, you know, humans will humans. We will try and take over a place, especially if there is an indigenous population there. We're going to do what we're going to do. Which, you know, I was fine, but it wasn't particularly well done in the film.
I just think there's nothing like, it wasn't trying to be like the artsy angle. It wasn't trying to be like, you know, what's that one Moon by Scorsese where you get the perspective of the other side. It was just like a kind of a
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon.
The one we watched with all the screaming.
It's like a dark comedy. I think it's like kind of like, it didn't do a lot new, but it was like new trappings, like in the sense that it all looked different, which was like kind of enough to like keep me engaged. But that was the most boring part of the storyline for sure.
Maybe that was the problem, man. Maybe I went in hoping it would say something and it just doesn't, right? Like, maybe that's not a good or a bad thing. Maybe it just doesn't say anything.
Sometimes the things don't need, like, they need to say, like, the message doesn't need to be new, but like the delivery or like the trappings, like Parasite, like,
right.
It was such a crazy, I don't know if you've seen that movie. I don't want to spoil it, but it's like such a crazy transition where you're not expecting that it's almost like, you know, what's that Netflix other Korean movie or show that we just had season 2 of?
The Squid Game.
Yeah, it's like Squid Games, where it's like a concept that's been done before in various ways, but it's like the trappings are so new and dynamic that it's like, whoa, I'm still down to listen. This wasn't like, it just wasn't new enough, right? Like, it's kind of like there were certain elements that were new, but also certain elements that were just kind of like me, like a bit. I thought
tropey. Like some of the, like, I like the Toni Collette character. She was cool. She was interesting. I kind of like she was really pulling the strings of the Mark Ruffalo character, Kenneth Marshall, in the background. I felt that
was
just
so absurdist.
Take.
Like, I don't know what, like, she's just making sauce. Like, I guess they're like trying to implicate like delicacies there, like
the last bastion of delicacy, man. But I guess there's like a sort of almost like a class tone or theme in that sort of, like the class struggles, especially when they're talking about the foods and such. I mean that's pretty interesting. I mean, not interestingly done. That is done in this film where they're talking about
it is good. Yeah,
they're rationed food for everyone else, whereas you get the Mark Ruffalo, Toni Collette characters who are just gorging on all this delightful food all the time. I think they've made a comment, Mark Ruffalo's getting fat at one point, and I'm like, dude, you're rationing everyone else and you're getting fat, like Christ.
Yeah.
But that Toni Collette thing about the sauce was kind of interesting. Like that I think that was like a weird quirk for her. She was trying to find any way to stand above, you know, the rest of the masses by having
I think it's just so, like, you're so abstracted from the reality that, like, well, all this stuff is happening. All you can think about is how you're going to exploit and create a new sauce. Like, I get the point.
Yeah.
I guess, like, it just was,
what does it
because
say?
It's done in such a dark, like, on the nose way. It just, like, doesn't hit for me the same way. I like when that shit's more subtle.
Same.
Because the truth of the matter is, like, in those situations, like, those people don't feel like they're being absurd. You know, like billionaires, they don't fit in the moment. It's like a subtle choice. And so, like, that's the irony of it.
Except Elon Musk's salutes.
Well, that's a different thing entirely, I'd say. But like, those people don't feel like they're making like a bad choice. They're human too. And they're like just making a choice that's available to them oftentimes. And like, I like to understand what like allowed someone to make that choice and have it feel like do it with no gravitas, right? Like what about their life or what about the character allows them to like black out that level of like perspective? Whereas this is just like, they're so absurdly over the top. Like, they don't feel like humans to me. It's so absurdist that I can't like identify with it at all. And that makes it harder for me to care.
100% agree with you on that. I think that, but that's clearly a stylistic choice of the movie, which I just think.
So it's like love it or hate it. Like, that is what it is. Mickey I like in a lot of ways because you're like, I could understand a dumb, uneducated guy making a really poor decision and then having to deal with it. Like, I think he was the most engaging part of it, even though it didn't make sense why his two Mickeys were different. It still was the most engaging part of the movie.
I think it's most interesting. I wouldn't say engaging. I think, honestly, at one point I turned around to I took my partner to see this, and I turned around to her at one point and I was like, I kind of wanted to leave. I was like, why are we still here with like 30 minutes to go? Really?
Yeah. Which I thought was funny. Yeah.
That's super interesting. What do you think about the creepers, just out of interest? Is there a Starship Troopers vibe to this?
Weird design, yeah. I didn't think much about them, to be honest. Other than
the whole ending was...
What do they eat on this white
wild?
Side?
What do they eat? What are they doing there? Like, what's their goal? Do they have a hive mind? What's happening?
I mean, I think all of those things, our answer is yes, except for the eat, which wasn't a yes or no question. I don't know. I think they're just kind of there with a singular purpose, which is to highlight humanity's destruction and then give Mickey an arc. But other than that, they don't really serve much purpose. Yeah.
I guess the key point of that plot is then effectively the space Trump wants to wipe out all of these beings to make a point. He captures one and they have it on the ship and they're sort of semi-torturing it, like his wife cuts its tail off to try and make a sauce out of it.
That was tough.
It's interesting that they fought back in this as well. Not often you see that in these type of movies, that they're so effective at fighting back.
Yeah, true. They did give them agency. It was also a bluff.
They did. They were. That's what I was going to say. It was an interesting bluff. I quite like that about it. They took the piss out of the Trump Academy.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think it's less about Trump and more about just politicians.
Sure,
politicians that will they're so abstracted, at least in America, many times from the people they service, that they're only doing this in service to themselves and their power, their goal, their desire for power, and they're literally there to enrich themselves and be and feel power as opposed to serving the constituents. And that is kind of he's so in love with his own celebrity, he creates a colony ship. It's more about that, I would argue, than 100%. Any particular person. And
I'm using Trump just because he's an easy target. I'm not using him because he's a particularly good frame of reference.
Yeah.
I just think it took a hard right turn when they brought the creepers in as a secondary plot to this. I liked the idea of, this politician who will do anything to keep his celebrity going, but also wants to survive and build a new planet. I thought that was more interesting than this plot around wiping out the indigenous. The two didn't necessarily. I mean, they worked, but they didn't mesh well for me.
Well, you just you either do the indigenous thing as a much smaller part of the story that serves exactly what it was meant to serve, which is kind of bridging the indigenous creepers. But it just it felt like there was no point of that and no point of the plot. There wasn't enough in either realm to there was no oomph in either one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell you what I did enjoy about the story was when they were saying why the cloning technology was banned, and it was just some rogue scientist used it to become a mass murder serial killer.
Yeah, no, I needed
so
more
random.
More of that's the kind of movie I wanted this to be. More shit like that, just random humorous,
just weird,
absurdist shit, and less about why am I supposed to care about the creepers and
right.
It turned into this movie where it suddenly had a plot that needed to be executed on, and it didn't need that. It could have just been kind of absurdist the whole time, and that could have been the movie. Mickey somehow redeems himself in some other way where it's not that. And I don't know. Where it's not the world stakes are involved. It's just he just decides to shoot the main guy and they live happily ever after. I don't know, but it didn't need to be this. There was an extra hour on this film that honestly could have been cut, I think.
100% agreed. And Mickey saves the indigenous creepers things by Mickey 18 blowing himself up to kill the space Trump. I keep saying that. Can't remember his name. That's really bad. Mark Ruffalo's character, who is definitely Kenneth Marshall. I definitely remembered that. Again, like you say, I don't think it added anything thematically or to the story. So it was, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. That's a good way to end this. It was fine. Do you have anything else to say about this? I realize this is a short one. I didn't realize I disliked this movie as much as I.
No, I mean like 3 best, 3 worst tones, themes. I don't know if the tones and
We do
themes
tones
we've
and
talked
themes.
about.
Yeah,
It's kind of just like
identity.
corporate. Like what is your identity? Corporate
Class struggles.
corporate like greed, class struggles, that kind of stuff. Religion in a way, like what is religion?
Yeah.
What is politics?
Cultism.
There's some native stuff, like indigenous stuff.
It's fine.
I think the female characters had a lot of agency in this. We didn't talk about them at all. I like
They
that.
did.
Yeah.
But in service of the main characters, I felt they were more.
I thought they were saving him, and I thought like the roles were kind of reversed. Where like, a guy is usually the one like picking between the girls. Like the girls were like fighting, like they had the agency to go and like we want Mickey, and they were kind. He didn't really have a choice in the matter. It was kind of like he was just along for the ride.
I didn't get that either. Why would someone like intelligent, interesting, and incredibly horny like her choose someone like Mickey?
Because she wanted him.
That's it.
For whatever
Raw
reason.
sexual magnetism of Robert Pattinson.
Well, I think it's like she's probably attracted to the opposite of her in a lot of ways.
I've never believed in
definitely
opposites attract, by the way, except for magnets. Magnets work. But outside of magnets, I've never believed in that. I think it's nonsense.
Well, that's your opinion. I think
I know.
there's some truth. I think there's some truth to it in the sense that like, people don't want to necessarily be around. I'll give an example. I dated a sales rep for a while.
Okay.
It was tough. I couldn't.
Too much.
It was too much of the same shit that I had to deal with all the time. And there's like value in that in the sense that like you feel heard, people understand. There's also like, okay, like repetitiveness and like, is this going to be like dominate my life in and out of work? So yeah, I think there's truth to some degree of that.
How was her closing game?
Gentleman never tells.
Tell me after the podcast. All right, let's do this. 3 best and 3 worst then. What do you got? What are your best?
I liked Patton Bat despite his weird accent.
I had that too.
He's just so absurd. Like he's like creepy. Especially with like the more aggressive Mickey. I also really liked his mate. What's his name from Walking Dead?
Oh, Stephen Yeun. Yeah, he's good.
He's not in it a lot, but he's just like so earnestly an asshole.
Yeah. Actually, you're right.
It's like how like that's really hard to pull off like genuinely, and I think
weird
he does
subplot.
a good job of that.
Yeah. The reason why they're trying to escape in the first place was because Stephen Yeun tried to get them into some kind of baking business, and it clearly failed. What were they? The little
macaroons.
French macarons. That's right.
Which who doesn't want to own a macaron business?
Who
that's
doesn't?
Successful. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and it failed.
I know I do.
So, yes, I would love to be a macaron owner. Macaron owner? Hard to say.
Macaroon.
Go on. What's your third? Do you have a third?
I did like the style.
Yeah.
Like there was like all the
aesthetic.
death sequences, like the whole that like was when it was at its best, and I wish it could like have kept that absurdist thing and not be pulled into trying to say something more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. I think that was by far the strongest part of the movie, and it was over in 20 minutes, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
It's so weird because the trailers for this showed the entire movie, but only focused on the bits that were any good. And that's a dumb thing to say because, of course, they're going to show the best bits of the movie. But like, as in, it somehow managed to condense all the bits that were relevant into like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have just watched the trailers.
Probably at this point.
I agree with the aesthetic. I thought Patton Bat. The only thing I'd add to that is when Patton Bat was on screen with himself, it was like flawless. It was phenomenal. It was
no, like those, like we needed more of, like it could have been just like a character film in that way, in a lot of like
right.
And
Well, that's
like,
Moon.
They took it to be more than that.
That's Moon. I feel like a dark comedy version of that.
I would have liked like more interactions if we're rewriting the script, more interactions of like the different Mickeys with the other people on the ship. Like we only get like minor exposure to like how one Mickey would handle a dinner with like the guy versus the other, and like versus with like the Trumpian character, as you said. Like that was like not that present. We got like a couple scenes of that with like his partner and the other girl, but like I would have liked to see how each of those two Mickeys deal with everyone. I guess we did get it at times, but like that was when it was like high for me.
Well, that you've just given another interesting direction this film could have gone. Like, imagine if there were more duplicates of them. They just didn't know about it. They were hiding themselves really well, and they were interacting with different people on the ships, and you were finding out different parts of the personality. And maybe it wasn't actually 17. Maybe it was 117. You know what I mean? Like maybe the ship had, like they'd stowed away, or the crew thought some of these had died, but really they'd survived and they were hideously scarred or whatever. Like, there's so many interesting things you can do with that, and they just didn't do any of it.
Yeah. I
It's a
agree.
shame. It's a real shame. Do you have
How
any
about
negatives? Any worstos?
Yeah, the creeper storyline was a bit much.
Awful. Unnecessary.
Too long. The whole climax thing, like, meh. Meh.
Yeah, I didn't like any of that. It was a bit nonsensical. I didn't like Pattinson's accent. If I'm honest with you, it pissed me off the whole movie.
I
because
didn't mind
it was,
but it was just funny. Like, why do you choose that? Like,
Matt, why? It's like a Tom Hardy choice. Like, picks the most outlandish accent. But because it was on screen and it was the in narrative at the whole time as well, I was like, there's too much of this. There's just too much of this annoying accent. You know?
Yeah.
Do you have anything else? I've got a new category if it helps. We sometimes talk about not having enough Mark Wahlberg in our 3 best and 3 worst. Whereas this week, I'm going to start a new category, which is too much Mark Ruffalo. I thought there was way too much Mark Ruffalo in this film.
Just with not a lot of substance to like what was like.
Yes.
I don't need that many scenes telling me he doesn't know what he's doing, that she's control. Like, it was so on the nose.
Right.
Right. I agree with all
So
your
on the
negatives.
nose.
My negatives are your negatives. I
Yeah,
agree.
okay.
Not the best podcast.
Yeah. Can you guess me the current IMDb score? Gone down, actually.
6-9.
7. You were so close.
Oh,
It was
wow.
actually 7-2 when we first watched it, and then it went down to 7-1, and then I checked again yesterday, and it's now 7. Muy bien. Can you guess me the Rotten Tomato score? Percentage?
78.
Oh, he's bang on the money.
Damn.
He's got
Nailed
it.
it.
What was your
Nailed
thinking behind that?
I was just like, I honestly was going to go in the 80s because it's always higher, but like, this is kind of one of those weird cerebral movies where I could see it just being 60s or 70s, and I don't know, I just went with 78, to be honest. And
Yeah,
if
smashed it.
IMDb is 70, I was like, a solid 10%-ish more would, make sense.
Man, you got something good going on there. And what do you reckon the letterbox is? It's always 3.6, but never 3.6.
I think it's probably 3.4, 3.3.
3.7.
Oh, okay.
I was actually reading through some of the letterbox scores today, and some of them are just letterbox is wild, man. It's just it's the Wild West, literally. And finally, then I guess it's our rating system, which is and maybe always will be. Is this better or worse than the most average movie we know, which is Aquaman 2018, and why?
I would argue it's better because I enjoyed watching most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Would I watch it again? Probably not. So it's got that in common with Aquaman.
Mm-hmm. So
I enjoyed watching it more. It's
you said better.
On the whole, better. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to contrary to that this week. I think I just had too high expectations for it. Like, I was just so excited. You know, Bong Joon Ho, Robert Pattinson. It had everything I wanted. An interesting I've read reviews of the book. The book's supposed to be good as well. So I was like, oh, this sounds great. And then I feel like he dropped the ball. Sorry, guys.
So you were not excited for Aquaman?
I would rather watch Aquaman 2018.
That's a shocking take.
Well, what can you do? What can you do? Let's do some trivia, true or false. Do you want a little bit of trivia, true or false?
Sure.
I did this so long ago, I can't remember which
What's
is
true
true
and
and
what
which
is
is
false?
not. But let's give it a go. Trivia, true, trivia, false, TL. Sean Bean was originally considered for the role of Mickey before it was given to Robert Pattinson. Is that true or is that false?
That's so false. Just because he dies a lot.
It's straight from IMDb, so it must be true, guys. It must be true.
Oh, wow.
But, I like that. I like they went for the guy who dies the most. Good.
It's funny. Sorry. It's early. Yawning.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm pretty tired here too. Bong Joon Ho said he changed the title from Mickey 7 to Mickey 17 so that he could kill Mickey 10 more times.
You already told me
or
that's true.
False? Ah, did I? There you go. It is
Yeah.
true. Finally then, trivia, true, trivia, false. I don't know why why am I doing it this week? I haven't even picked out like a random thing here. I'm just telling you trivia and you're saying, yes, it's true. Final bit of trivia I had then was, in a blink you'll miss it moment, one of the digital monitors inside the cloning facility briefly flashes a cryptic phrase, Mickey 1 was never found. Fans have speculated this could hint at a darker backstory. Was Mickey truly lost, or was something more sinister out to play? A really good question.
I hope
I would
that's
love
true.
it if there was. It would be so
Yeah.
cool if there was more to this.
Yeah, I hope that's true. I'm going to say true.
Yeah, it is true. Hopefully it hints at a deeper mystery in this Mickey universe that we never got to see. It'd be a real fucking shame if they did something interesting in this film.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, let's do that. Ultimately, I came in with high expectations, came out with low expectations, or not met expectations, whatever you want to say at this point.
Vice versa.
I'm
whatever you
sick.
call it.
It's late. Who cares? Pretty average movie for me, but thanks for sticking with it, guys. We really appreciate it.
Agreed.
We're back.
We're back. You can hit us up
We're
at
back,
thepodcastassemble at gmail.com or podcastassemble on Instagram. Maybe in a month we'll release something else. No, I'm actually excited to get back into it.
I'm excited to see more of you. I don't get to, like, this is my time to see you. It's like a nice warm hug.
I'm excited to have more time to see you as well.
Yes.
A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode.
Thank you,
and
Matt.
if you'd like him to be a part of your podcasting team, get in touch at business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about what he does, his services and whatnot. We like ratings, so you could give us a rating. That'd be awesome.
Good. Maybe 5 stars? Right there?
I'm not gonna whore myself out like Tommy and say 5 stars. You just rate us. Just a rating. If you
I'm
want
happy to
to hear,
myself out. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you do on the weekends. If you want to hear his work, Matt's work,
That's
going
Matt's
back to
work.
Matt at mbpod.com. Listen to Coffee with a Podcaster, short thought pieces on topics like around podcasting over a cup of Joe.
Very wholesome content.
Yes, that's all I got.
And that's it. That's it for
That's
this
it
week, guys. That's it. And we're gonna tally ho.
Tell you.
Later, skaters.
Bleep.